I'm Zoe Delahunty-Light, and it's time to talk about Queen Marika the Eternal, the one who threw the world of the Lands Between into disarray in Elden Ring. She instigated the domination of the Golden Order, the creation of the Tarnished, and the shattering, and thus makes for a fascinating character. As well as talking about Marika, I'm going to be explaining Radagon of the Golden Order too, so here's Marika and Radagon's Elden Ring lore explained. Queen Marika the Eternal wasn't always Queen Marika the Eternal. Hailing from the lands of Numen, which are found beyond the Lands Between, Marika's race is described as long-lived but seldom born in Elden Ring's character creation screen. Numen denizens therefore seem to have exceptionally long lifespans but don't get born that often, so Marika was probably known in the lands of Numen courtesy of there presumably not being many people from Numen alive at the same time. At some point, Marika was chosen by the Greater Will, an outer god, to become an Empyrean, was given a shadow-bound vassal named Malekith, and was then raised to godhood as the vessel for the Elden Ring, the embodiment of order. Thus, she became Queen Marika the Eternal. Queen Marika was a hands-on monarch. Compelled to extend the reach of the Greater Will and the Golden Order, she instigated battles with surrounding lands to bring them under her control. One by one, they fell under her hammer, with one of her notable conquests being when she slayed the fell god of the giants, a one-eyed, malformed god depicted in the one-eyed shield. Despite sending Godfrey, the first Elden Lord, and by now her consort, to eliminate the giants who refused to bend the knee, Marika soon realised that the Giants' Forge held a flame that could burn the Erd Tree down. This had been prophesied in the past, but no one wanted to hear it, and any prophets who spoke of that, which would become known as the Cardinal Sin, were banished from the Lands Between. Following the defeat of the giants, Marika cursed those who remained to tend to their flame for all eternity, in an attempt to keep it and them under control and isolated from the Erd Tree. Marika's aggressive expansion of the Golden Order resulted in the beginning of the Age of the Erd Tree. For followers of the Golden Order, this was an age of plenty. Such was the love for Marika that during this time she even bestowed blessings personally to her subjects from the foot of the Erd Tree, but neither that nor the Golden Age of the Erd Tree would last. It's unknown precisely when Marika split herself in two, but she did, and that resulted in the secret creation of Radagon. Red-haired, gifted in combat, and loyal to the Golden Order, Radagon soon became famous in the Lands Between. During the Wars of the Erd Tree, Radagon, being devoted to the Golden Order, became a champion, which is basically a renowned fighter famous in the Lands Between, kind of like a celebrity. I'll explain more about what Radagon got up to in his own section. With Godfrey as her consort, Marika gave birth to her eldest child, Godwyn the Golden, and the Omen twins Mog and Morgott, who were imprisoned underground and kept secret. Marika giving birth to Omens would have been quite the scandal / ironically, omen to those who worshipped the Golden Order. You can find out more about Omens and why they're so despised in my Mog and Morgott Elden Ring lore video. Destined Death was Marika's next target. Destined Death sounds like an enigmatic part of the Elden Ring, but it's actually pretty simple. It's roughly the inevitability that everyone dies, but also the significant deaths of major demigods like Marika's children. Not wanting her children, or anyone else, to die, Marika removed the Rune of Death, which is another term for Destined Death, from the Elden Ring and had Malekith guard it. Removing the Rune of Death was the first indication of Marika's growing disillusionment with the Golden Order. Melina recounts Marika's words, which state, "I declare mine intent to search the depths of the Golden Order. Through understanding of the proper way, our faith, our grace is increased. Those blissful early days of blind belief are long past. My comrades, why must ye falter?" It's as if she's trying to figure out why people follow the Golden Order and what else the Greater Will plans for her. Whatever she found out, it was enough to encourage her to start plotting against the Greater Will. This path led her to divest Godfrey and his Warriors of Grace, creating the Tarnished. This might feel like it comes out of nowhere, but there was method to Marika's machinations, which Melina recounts. By stripping them of grace, which ties souls to the Erd Tree, She knew that the Tarnished would be hounded from the lands between, as not having grace is just as bad as being an omen, as it's essentially blasphemy and turns you into an outcast. Marika hoped that Godfrey and his armies would grow stronger by waging war in the lands outside of her rule, dying, and then being revived and brought back with her guidance of grace. That kind of theoretically gave her her own force that was no stranger to death and was semi-separate from the influence of the Greater Will, but I can't be completely sure of that at the moment. Potentially indicating she was going to challenge the Greater Will, this act of Marika's had huge consequences. With this plan of hers underway, Marika next imprisoned Hugh within the Round Table Hold, ordering him to smith a god-slaying weapon for the Tarnished. It's implied that this god is the Elden Beast, the true form of the Elden Ring, and living embodiment of the Golden Order. More than any other bit of evidence, this reinforces the theory that Marika wanted to be free of the Elden Ring, and maybe even be a god in her own right. After banishing Godfrey from the lands between, Marika summoned Radagon back to her and made him her king consort. With him, she had Mikola and Melania, and raised Radagon's children Rani, Rykard, and Radahn to demigod status. It all goes downhill from here. The Night of the Black Knives happened, where her own kin from Newman helped Rani to steal the Rune of Death from Malekith, forging knives that could kill a god. One night, the Black Knife Assassins, as they became known, murdered multiple demigods along with Godwyn the Golden, Marika's treasured firstborn son. This broke Marika. Grief coursed through her, only exacerbated by her failed attempts to bring Godwyn back. Finally realising the limits of the Greater Will, or the Outer God's refusal to help her revive her firstborn son, Marika took her hammer and shattered the Elden Ring. Radagon did try to repair it, but he failed. After the Elden Ring shattering, Marika was imprisoned in the Erdtree by the Greater Will as punishment, as she couldn't be stripped of her godhood. Radagon was confined with her as the two gods, having now been reunited, shared the same body. Radagon remained loyal to the Golden Order, having tried to repair the Elden Ring, which is why the Tarnished comes up against him rather than Marika in the final boss fight. Oh, and it's also heavily hinted that Marika is the mother of your finger maiden Melina. I'm probably going to make a video about Melina, so I'll save that theory for later. Radagon is much more enigmatic. Hard information about him, especially before he became king consort, is hard to come by. His flame red hair is identical to that red hair of the Giants, which he was not a fan of. In the Giants' red braid description, it says that Radagon despised his own red locks. So you already know that Marika split herself in half to create Radagon. However, the red hair is an interesting touch, whether intentional or not. Radagon could have some callback to the victory/fear of the Giants and their flame in his appearance, though red isn't just associated with Giants. Both the Gilded Greatshield and the Ordovis of the Crucible Spirit Ashes descriptions say that the colour red mirrors the primordial matter that became the Erdtree, and calls red the colour of homeward yearning. Radagon's red hair might hint that he yearns to be reunited with his other half, or it could just be a coincidence and a way to make him distinctive, as well as all his children who inherited his red hair. During the First and Second Liurnian Wars, Radagon became recognised as a champion, famed for his Barrier of Gold incantation and being accompanied by red wolves, one of which would loyally remain in Raya Lucaria long after Radagon had left. After his success in battle, he was made head of one of the biggest Golden Order armies. On the battlefield, Radagon had many victories, but the crucial one to the fates of the lands between would be his battle against the Queen of the Full Moon, Renala. Of Carian royalty, she was commanding her own armies as she defended Liurnia and Raya Lucaria from the Golden Onslaught. Having invaded her lands, Radagon did something truly unexpected and fell in love with Renala. At least, I assume he did, as he repented his territorial transgressions and cleansed himself with celestial dew in the Church of Vows before wedding Renala. He brought with him golden sewing tools and a golden sewing needle, so he might have had a penchant for fixing things, foreshadowing his attempt to repair the Elden Ring. Under her tutelage, Radagon studied sorcery and, as husband to the Queen, he demonstrated an almost suspicious preoccupation with loyalty from his subjects. The Mask of Confidence helm reveals that when Radagon married Renala, he ordered his Carian magic tutors to don the Mask of Confidence to make it clear that all of their matters were to be kept strictly private. Under these tutors, Radagon studied Karian sorcery. Soon, Rani, Rykard, and Radahn were born to him and Renala. Such was Renala's love for her husband that she gifted him a specially forged greatsword, which Radagon would not forsake. However, when Godfrey was hounded from the lands between, Radagon left Renala to return to Leyndell to become Queen Marika's king consort, taking the title of Second Elden Lord. All he gave Renala when he left was an amber egg with a great rune inside. This desertion pulled Renala into a dark place. Her despair gave the sorcerers of Raya Lucaria the excuse to abandon their queen, forego Carian sorcery in lieu of their own studies, and lock her in the Raya Lucaria library with her egg. Upon wedding Marika, Radagon modified the greatsword Renala gifted him. Instead of symbolizing the Carian royal line, it was changed to honor the tenets of the Golden Order, stripped of any Carian ornamentation, which is kinda cold. Under Marika, Radagon expanded his knowledge of magic to study incantations, with it saying in the Radagon icon that he did so because he aspired to be complete. I have my own theory that Radagon knew he was one half of Marika and felt conflicted about it, using these studies as a way to become his own person and forge his own identity. When Marika calls Radagon to return to her, as recounted by Melina, she calls him Leal Hound of the Golden Order, with Leal meaning loyal. This feels like she meant it to be a compliment, but comes off as quite literally a bit holier than thou, as Marika is a god. As well as that, Radagon's research into magic and his previous marriage to Renala, who he does appear to have genuinely held affection for as he gifted her that egg, it feels like there's tension between Radagon and Marika. After all, when Marika shattered the Elden Ring in her grief, Radagon did try to repair it. To me, this indicates that Radagon remained loyal to the Elden Ring and Greater Will after Godwyn's death, in conflict with Marika's disillusionment with her benefactor. Well, who she thought was her benefactor, until she realised how restrictive godhood can be. And that's the lore and origins of Marika and Radagon explained. If you've not yet got your fill of Elden Ring lore, check out the pinned comment where you'll find my Elden Ring lore playlist. Do you have any other characters or events you're curious about and would like me to cover, apart from the really obvious ones? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, thanks very much, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Eurogamer, as we have a new video out every single day. Now, I'm going to go and pray for Marika to appear in an Elden Ring DLC, as I really want to know more about her, so I'll see you next time.